Hello and welcome to Whack-A-Mole Industries. In today's video, I have a challenge that I'm going to attempt to complete. And in this video, I'm going to be attempting to make a bench out of 6 pallet slats. What's the challenge? I'm going to attempt to make a 32-inch long bench about 14 to 15 inches tall. And, well, we'll see. If it ends up splitting, I may swap it out for another pallet slat as I have some backup that are the same size, but I'm going to try to do what I can with just these 6. Now there's a few things I'm envisioning that I'm going to have to do, and that is primarily clean them up a little bit. They are a little rough. Here is the underside of what will be the bench seat. This side will stay as the underside of the bench seat, while this side will be cut off to form one of the legs. Then I'm planning on taking 2 of these to make the skirt. There'll be a little bit of cut off from one of these that I will take to add to the third board to make the other leg. I think this will end up with a 32-inch long bench. Let's see. Now that we sort of have an idea of where we're going with these boards, I'm going to number them so I can get them back in the right order as I go through working on them. The back side, I'm not going to sand as much, but I may end up having to renumber these once I get further along. So I'm going to call this one 1, this one 2, and this one 3. My numbering system is absolutely genius. Who would have thought of 1, 2, and 3? Well, let's get started. I'm going to get out the hand planer and plane these edges. I'm going to build up these muscles. Who needs a gym when you got a workshop, right? Oh, not that type of plane. We're going to use this planer, this one, to work on cleaning up the sides. Let's move over to the wood vise. Good time to clamp it up. I've already started putting the clamps on. These quick clamps are not quite pulling it tight enough, so I'm going to... Ooh, that's loud. So I think I'm going to use this bar clamp that's way too long. While that's drying, we can take this and plane the wood, hand plane the wood for the skirts. So just while this is working, we can keep working. Let's pop off these clamps and see what we got for the bench top. This is one of my favorite things, is removing the clamps from a freshly glued project. Now before I flip this over, I'm going to say I'm expecting the top, or the underside in this case, which will be the top, to be a little rough. Let's see how bad it is though. Not terrible. I can definitely clean that up some. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth the top. Actually no. The smart thing would be to do the other parts that need to be glued, so I need to make the other leg. So I know I got one leg that's going to be the offcut of this bench top. I just need to make the other leg so that that can dry.
But first, I'm going to work on making the skirt for the bench, which goes between the legs and underneath the top of the bench. And I'm going to start this process by adding some nice roundovers with the router. Do I need to explain what I'm doing here? I'm sanding wood.
Time to get the chop saw out.
So here's part to the secret recipe of this bench. I am cutting this skirt. No, that's not the secret part. But it's this cutoff piece right here that I pulled off to the side. I'm now going to save both these cutoffs from both of these skirts, and those will become part of one of the legs. For the legs, we have the 2 pieces of wood from the skirt. We'll need 1 more because each leg's going to require 3 slats to make 1 whole leg to match the bench top. The next piece, or the next leg so to speak, is coming from the bench top, the offcut, to make the bench the right length. That scrap will be perfect for the leg.
So I'm using a dowel rod that I'm drilling the holes, the biggest holes of from the nails, and I'm going to put the dowel rod in them just to fill it up, and then I'll sand them down. You can find the video where I made this dowel rod in the description or at the end of the video. Just basically how to make your own DIY dowel rods. Yeah, part of me is going like, oh, you're trying to make this look better, and what are you doing? You're making the hole bigger. Well, it's kind of like a thing where you gotta trust the process and you know it's going to be better in the long run. And it was at this moment I realized I forgot to glue the other leg together. Let's get that gluing because we need that to dry before we can do much more. So I'm gonna stop sanding and get onto that. I don't mind the excuse to stop sanding. Shh, don't tell anyone that.
Now that the leg is glued, I'm adding roundovers to the top of the bench, and then it'll be on to more sanding. Yay, me!
Now the best part of a glue job, taking the clamps off. I need to shrink the legs, make them narrower. I also want a slight taper, because the leg is the same width as the bench top. So if I add the skirt lines up with just that, and it sticks out really weird and looks ugly. I need to remove 1 1/4 from each side on the top, and then I want to taper it down. So I've marked this is the bottom, this is the bottom, and the inside. So I'm now going to just cheat and use my square, put it at 1 1/4. There's the legs. So I cut off this side. I actually used the sanding disc to kind of get the arc I was looking for. And I'm actually going to use that on this side now. I'm using this template of wood so that I can try to get a similar look on all of these corners. Now I'm going to use the sanding disc, but what I need to do is determine how far up on the sanding disc I'm going to go, which I like right about there. So I marked the sandpaper there and there. That's about the arc I like on it. That's approximately 5 inches. That's close enough for our purposes. So 10 inches, so we have 2.5 inches on each side is where our arc should begin. Now also on the back side, I'm going to add a piece of wood across here just to help keep this from splitting out because of having that chunk cut out right there.
Now to add a little bit of extra strength to the legs, I'm adding these cross members between the 3 different pieces of wood that make up the legs. I've measured where these are supposed to go on the legs, so now they're just ready to glue and nail in place. I've already applied the glue, so I'm just shooting the nails in now, just to help hold everything together, especially as the glue dries. So I don't want the legs to be perfectly straight. I want them to be at a slight angle, so I drew a straight line along here, and then I moved it back by 1/4 inch right at the top. That'll give an angle to the legs, so they'll be cantered, I think that's the right term, cantered out slightly at the bottom. That'll make the bench a whole lot nicer. And it's a pretty simple way just to mark it and figure it all out by using the straight line, move it over by 1/4 inch at the top. So it's time to assemble it, first applying glue to the legs, and of course I gotta remember my safety glasses, and it's time to apply the cross members. Now I'm using the reference marks I made earlier to give the legs the cantering out near the bottom, and just shooting some nails in to assist the glue. And look, the bench is ready to sit on. Oh wait, I gotta add the other side and the top. So just the same process, other than I do not need to line things up quite as carefully. I am making reference marks again though, just to be safe, because I don't want to mess up this bench build. So once the reference marks are all set, it's just the same glue and nail process as before.
Checking the spacing, yes, with a pencil, carpenter pencil. This one pretty much gives me the exact lip I'm looking for, so I can just feel it and make sure everything is lined up like perfectly.
Now there are multiple ways to anchor a bench top. This one I actually have tacked into place now with nails, but I'm measuring out where to place some pegs. So I'm actually going to glue the top down using dowel rods into the leg structure.
Do you want to see the finished bench? I apparently forgot to film it when I made the bench like a few months ago. I've actually used the bench a whole lot, so maybe I should actually let you see it now. Ta-da! There's the bench. Again, this was only 6 pallet slats plus like the dowel rods and a few small miscellaneous things like that. It's very sturdy. I like how it turned out and what it looks like. I especially like these little corners I cut out and the roundovers that I did with the router. It was just like a nice touch, and I really like the rustic look. That's what I was going for. Now, if you wanted to look perfect, or closer to perfect, or however you want to say it, you could use, like, of course, wood filler, plaster, paint, pretty much whatever you want in that case. But it depends on what the look you're looking for. Love to hear from you guys down below in the comments, any thoughts, or just to say hi, or if you've tried, or if you're gonna try a challenge like building a bench out of 6 pallet slats. I'd love to hear those down below. Also, hit the thumbs up button, that'd be greatly appreciated, and subscribe, and we'll see you in future videos.